time. All right. 1 second. Here we go. And then check to see if we are actually online and streaming. Yes, we are live. Fantastic. Okay, good to see everybody again. And let's see. Okay. And I want to say I'm sorry about last night where we didn't give any notice and we weren't online. And the reason for that, the reason for being not online or not being online and not giving a notice is that we had an internet outage yesterday, an unpredictable internet outage, and also telephone outage that lasted practically a few hours. So I wasn't able to notify everybody that we weren't able to go online, even though I wanted to go online, even though I wanted to give the class. So that's what happened yesterday. So that's very unusual here in the United States. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to chant. See, what are we going to chant tonight? Something old, not something new. Okay, one of my favorite songs, Away Vaishnava Thakur. Let me see. Let me just check this. All right, that seems to be good. Way Vaishnava Thakur, Doyara Sangur, Eda say, Karuna Kori. Way Vaishnava Thakur, Yara Sagare, say, Karuna Jaya Shodaya Maya Tomaraja Ganadori Diyapada Jaya Shodaya Maya Tomaraja Jaya Begatami, Jaya Dosha Kodi, Jaya Guna Deva She, Jaya Begatami, Dosha Shodi, Jaya Guna Sangha Deo e amare Moshachi Sangerase Jaya Satsanga Deo e amare Moshachi Sangerase Ekaki amara Boimoro Harinama Sankirtane Ekake amara Boimoro Harinama Sankirtane Tumi Kripakori Shadanudia Deo Krishna Tumi Kripakori Shadanudia Deo Krishna Namatane Krishna say Tamara Krishna Dite Paro Domarash Kadiyache Krishna say Tamara Krishna Dite Paro Domarash Kadiyache Amito Gangala Krishna Krishna Boli Daitava Jay Jay Amito Gangala Krishna Krishna Boli Daitava Jay Vaishnava Kakura Yara Sangha Eda Sena Gori Prabhupada 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 Haribo Haribo Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paramahansa also Teda Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chananatha Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Govinath Sayam Kunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuram Ki Jai Jagadata Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Srimati Lasa Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Namah Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pastaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamati Namani Namaste, Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani, Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschachate Shatarni. So I'm going to read the translation. O Venerable Vaishnava, Ocean of Mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold on to your lotus feet. Teach me to control my 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults, Bestow upon me the 6 qualities and offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I am simply running behind you, shouting, Krishna, Krishna, Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. So, with that in mind, we're going to continue our reading of the Krishna book. So we're just at the end of the 24th chapter of Krishna book, which is basically worshipping Govardhan Hill. And then the next chapter, chapter 5, which we're going to, 25, is going to be about the devastating rainfall in Vrindavan as Indra gets very, very angry at the residents of Vrindavan. Okay, so let us continue. So, Omagana Timidanda Shah Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Meditam Yena Tasmai Shikadve Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So anyway, so let us go and share the screen. Just give me 1 second and I'll find it. I did find it. Okay, so this is the last 2 paragraphs in the chapter, which is chapter 24. Just mark this down, 24b. Okay. So, this is describing the Govardhan Puja ceremony. When everything was complete, Krishna assumed a great transcendental form and declared himself to the inhabitants of Vrindavan that he himself, let's move this closer. Move my microphone closer. That's better. That he himself was Govardhan Hill, in order to convince the devotees that Govardhan Hill and Krishna himself were identical. Then Krishna began to eat all the food offered there. The identity of Krishna and Govardhan Hill is still honored, and great devotees take rocks from Govardhan Hill and worship them exactly as they worship the deity of Krishna in the temples. The followers of the Krishna consciousness movement may therefore collect small rocks or pebbles from Govardhan Hill and worship them at home, because this worship is as good as deity worship. The form of Krishna who began to eat the offerings was separately constituted, and Krishna himself, along with the other inhabitants of Vrindavan, offered obeisances to the deity as well as Govardhan Hill. In offering obeisances to the huge form of Krishna in Govardhan Hill, Krishna declared, just see how Govardhan Hill has assumed this huge form and is favoring us by accepting all the offerings. Krishna also declared at that meeting, one who neglects the worship of Govardhan Puja as I am personally conducting it will not be happy. There are many snakes on Govardhan Hill, and persons neglecting the prescribed duty of Govardhan Puja will be bitten by these snakes and killed. In order to assure the good fortune of the cows and themselves, all people of Vrindavan near Govardhan must worship the hill as prescribed by me. Thus, performing the Govardhan Puja sacrifice, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan followed the instructions of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, and afterwards they returned to their respective homes. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 24th chapter of Krishna worshipping Govardhan Hill. Just a few notes. When they offered all the food, which is called the Annakut ceremony, to Govardhan, Govardhan ate it all, and Govardhan kept saying, Anyor, Anyor. That means, give me more, give me more. And the residents of Vrindavan were really scared a little bit. They were thinking, if we don't have any more, what's going to happen to us? So finally, they offered 1 tulsi patra, tulsi leaf. And by offering that 1 tulsi leaf, then Govardhan became full. He didn't want any more. So anyway, there's so many statements that you could offer all sorts of varieties of food to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but if you don't offer a Tulsi manjari at the same, a Tulsi leaf at the same time, then Krishna will not accept it. So that's completely obligatory like that. Of course, sometimes people are at home and we're first introducing people to Krishna consciousness. We don't tell them about the Tulsi leaf, and they don't have a Tulsi plant. They don't have any access to a Tulsi plant. So they can still worship by and offer food to Krishna by having a picture of Prabhupada there and their spiritual master and doing the prasadam prayers. But as far as the deities in the temple or Govardhan Chilas, they require Tulsi leaves, Tulsi patra. Even if you have dried leaves, that's all right. As long as and even if there's just one leaf on the plate. Actually, Prabhupada was one time asked, how many Tulsi leaves should we offer on the plate? It's interesting. And the devotees were thinking, well, one in each preparation. And Prabhupada indicated, he said, one is sufficient on the plate. Okay. So, of course, we do offer more if possible, but the requirement is at least one. If you don't have a lot of Tulsi leaves, at least one on the plate have to be offered to Krishna at the same time you're doing the bhoga offering. Very, very important. Tulsi is only offered to Lord Krishna and his expansions, Vishnu Tattva expansions, never offered to Radharani or any demigod or anybody else other than Krishna. The only exception being when you can put a Tulsi leaf in the hand, or on the hand, on the hand of Srimati Radharani to be offered to Krishna. That's the only exception. But you don't offer Tulsi at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Just don't do that. Okay, so chapter 25, devastating rainfall in Vrindavana. When Indra understood that the sacrifice which was to be offered by the coward men in Vrindavan had been stopped by Krishna, he became angry, and he vented his anger upon the inhabitants of Vrindavan, who were headed by Nanda Maharaj, although Indra knew perfectly well that Krishna was personally protecting them. That shows Avritam Gyanametena Gyanino Nichavirina Kama Rupena Kontiya Dushprena Lenacha, that even if he had some knowledge before, and he did, then his knowledge became stolen by what? Lust. You must say, well, lust, what was he lusting for? Well, let's explain, quoting a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter. Jayate Vishayam Pusam Sangosteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kama Krota Vijayate. When one is contemplating something and he doesn't get it, or let's go back a little bit. Contemplating something, he gets attached to it, then he gets lusty, and if he doesn't get it, he gets angry. So that anger comes from frustration. So what didn't Indra get? He didn't get his offerings. It's not that Indra actually needed them all. He got plenty of offerings from other people. But he was thinking of his prestige. He felt personally insulted by Krishna. Krishna may be a very powerful person, maybe God, but he's insulted me. That's interesting. Even you have that instance where Krishna actually brought back the earrings of Aditi that were stolen by Bhaumasura and presented them to the demigod, presented them to Aditi. And then Krishna wanted to take the Parijata tree from the heavenly planets at the behest of Satyabhama. Indra got very angry and he actually attacked Krishna, even though he knew he was dependent on Krishna, though he knew Krishna was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, he did that. So if someone's very attached to something, they may know better but their knowledge becomes covered by lust, by anger, by greed, by illusion. Attachment causes your knowledge to be covered. Even though you may have that knowledge, it's just like, I don't care if Krishna's God. Whatever he did, I don't like. That's the attitude. Krishna may be God or not God, but I am angry with him. As the director of different kinds of clouds, Indra called for the Samvartaka, means complete devastation. This cloud is invited when there's a need to devastate the whole cosmic manifestation. The Samvartaka was ordered by Indra to go over to Vrindavan and inundate the whole area with an extensive flood. Demoniacally, Indra thought himself to be the all-powerful Supreme Personality. When demons become very powerful, they defy the supreme controller of the personality of Godhead. Indra, though not a demon, was puffed up by his material position and he wanted to challenge the supreme controller. He thought himself, at least for the time being, as powerful as Krishna. Indra said, just see the impudence of the inhabitants of Vrindavana. They are simply inhabitants of the forest, but being infatuated with their friend Krishna, who is nothing but an ordinary human being, they have dared to defy the demigods. Infatuated by the little tiny person, Krishna. Human beings, we are demigods. It's interesting. Krishna has declared in Bhagavad Gita, the demigods look at us like we're a bunch of frogs. That's how they look at us. Frogs or ants, like the same way we look at ants. Can you imagine? Take that metaphor right there. Just like we look at ants, demigods look at human beings. So just imagine if some ant had stolen your prasadam or crawled on your prasadam, you get really angry with it. Because it's the business of the ant. Just like today, a mosquito came close to me and I got very angry at the mosquito. So Krishna, it's not exactly the same because mosquitoes are not intelligent. Mosquitoes don't render service to us by performing yajna or anything like that, but you understand the comparison. Krishna has declared in the Bhagavad Gita that the worshippers of the demigods are not very intelligent. He also declared that one has to give up all kinds of demigod worship and simply concentrate on Krishna consciousness. Krishna is invoking the anger of Indra and later on chastising him is a clear indication to his devotee that those who are engaged in Krishna consciousness have no need to worship any demigod, even if it is found that the demigod has become angry. Krishna gives his devotees all protection and they should completely depend on his mercy. Indra cursed the action of the inhabitants of Vrindavan and said, by defying the authority of the demigods, the inhabitants of Vrindavan will suffer in material existence. Having neglected the sacrifice to the demigods, they cannot cross over the impediments of the ocean of material existence. Indra further declared, these coward men in Vrindavan have neglected my authority on the advice of this talkative boy who is known as Krishna. He is nothing but a child, and by believing this child they've enraged me. Thus he ordered the Samvartaka cloud to go and destroy the prosperity of Vrindavana. The men of Vrindavan, said Indra, have become too puffed up over the material opulence and are overconfident due to the presence of their tiny friend Krishna. He is simply talkative, childish, and unaware of the complete cosmic situation, although he is thinking himself very advanced in knowledge. Because they have taken Krishna so seriously, they must be punished. They should be destroyed with their cows. In this way, Indra ordered the Samvartaka cloud to go to Vrindavan and inundate the place. So, not only did he want to kill all the residents of Vrindavan, but he wanted to go engage in Gomeda. Gomeda means killing cows, which is the most sinful thing, because we know cows, old people, women, and children need to be protected. It is indicated here that in the villages or outside the towns, the inhabitants must depend on their cows for their prosperity. When the cows are destroyed, the people are destitute of all kinds of opulences. When King Indra ordered the... Now, the reason why the cows are so important in the Vedic culture, many, many different reasons. Everything the cow does is auspicious. And of course, you got the milk from the cow, you got the bull, and the bull, of course, is not a cow, but it's bovine species where the bull is able to plow the fields. And then you have the cow manure. The cow manure actually can be used to cook. The cow manure can be used as fertilizer. So basically, so auspicious, the cows. And then even after the cow dies, Prabhupada comments, there's a class of men known as muchis, who use the skin of the cow to make shoes for people. So, and every part of the cow is very, very auspicious. And actually, even when you go to a cow and you can pet the cow or hug the cow, your mind becomes very peaceful. Even if you have psychological problems and anxiety attacks or, whatever, then when you hug a cow, you feel, wow, mode of goodness. Because the cow's in the mode of goodness. If you hug a tiger, if you can get away with it, you'll be in the mode of passion. And if you hug a monkey, you'll be in the mode of ignorance. Oh my God. But if you hug a cow, you actually feel so happy and peaceful. I know when I'm in Vrindavan, whenever there's a cow on the path, at least a peaceful cow. I mean, I've run away from some bulls before. Then I pet the cow and I scratch the cow, and I feel like I'm back to Godhead just by doing that. When King Indra ordered the Samvartaka and companion clouds to go to Vrindavan, the clouds were afraid of doing this mischief. But King Indra assured them, "You go ahead, and I will go, riding on my elephant accompanied by great storms, and I shall apply all my strength to punishing the inhabitants of Vrindavana." Ordered by King Indra, all the dangerous clouds appeared above Vrindavan and began to pour water incessantly with all their strength and power. There was constant lightning and thunder, blowing a severe wind, and incessant falling of rain. The rain seemed to fall like piercing sharp arrows. By pouring water as thick as pillars without cessation, the clouds gradually filled all the lands of Vrindavan with water, and there was no visible distinction between higher and lower land. The situation was very dangerous, especially for the animals. The rainfall was accompanied by great winds, and every living creature in Vrindavan began to tremble from the severe cold. Unable to find any other source of deliverance, they all approached Govinda to take shelter at his lotus feet. The cows, especially being much aggrieved from the heavy rain, bowed down their heads, and taking their calves underneath their bodies, they approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead to take shelter of his lotus feet. At that time, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan began to pray to Lord Krishna. "Dear Krishna," they prayed, "you are all-powerful, and you are very affectionate to your devotees. Now please protect us, who have been much harassed by angry Indra." So in other words, this pastime was arranged so the residents would take full shelter, more shelter of Krishna. You may say they've already taken shelter of Krishna completely, and that is a fact. However, the shelter that a devotee takes of Krishna can increase, just like the love that a devotee has for Krishna can increase. I mean, it's hard to comprehend that in this world when we have a certain amount of love or attraction for something, and it gets dry after a while. Certainly it doesn't increase. You get bored, just like, I love my computer here, or I did used to love it, until, what? I got used to it. And once I got used to it, no more love. This is okay, been there. What do they say? Been there, seen it, done it. So with Krishna, it's not at all been there, seen it, done it. It's heart given to Krishna, more heart given to Krishna, more heart given to Krishna, more heart unlimitedly. So just like Prabhupada explained, that it's like you take a light, it's like a flashlight, or what they say is in India is a torch, and you shine it inside a box. It can't go very far. But if you shine it up in the sky, obviously, theoretically, the light is, unlimited. But anyway, even if it was unlimited, if you shine it in a box, it'll just like bounce off the sides of the box. So you shine it in space, it goes on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So the shelter the devotees take of Krishna actually increases more and more. So Krishna arranges these different pastimes, like danger and everything like that, so the devotees will take more shelter from him. And also Krishna arranges these different pastimes to glorify the devotees. Like you have the pastime in the Mahabharata, where Draupadi is put into such a dangerous situation where the Kurus are attempting to disrobe her in the assembly house. And she tries to protect herself, and ultimately she throws her hands up and says, Krishna, protect me. And Krishna supplies unlimited sari. So Krishna puts his devotees in those situations. And this glorifies the devotees, and it brings the devotees closer to him. Upon hearing their prayer, Krishna could understand that Indra, being bereft of his sacrificial honor, was pouring down rain that was accompanied by heavy pieces of ice and strong winds, although all this was out of season. Krishna understood that this was a deliberate exhibition of anger by Indra. He therefore concluded, this demigod who thinks himself supreme has shown his great power, but I shall answer him according to my position, and I shall teach him that he is not autonomous in managing universal affairs. Autonomous means he does not have to listen to anyone else. I am the supreme lord over all, and I shall thus take away his false prestige, which has arisen from his power. The demigods are my devotees, and therefore it is not possible for them to forget my supremacy, but somehow or other he has become puffed up with material power, and thus is now maddened. In other words, he remembers Krishna, but he's so angry at Krishna that he forgets he's going to get wiped out. And you find that in this world, not with Krishna so much, but when people get really angry with someone and they commit some crime, like kill them, they forget that's going to mean they'll spend the rest of their life in prison or electric chair or whatever, however they deal with people nowadays with chemical injection. They forget it. And so that's why most murders in America right now are crimes of passion. In other words, they're between husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, and people kill their children. It's just like, wow, because of their anger, because of their lust, because of their greed. And you see that everywhere. So even though they know that's it, for this lifetime, I'm going to spend the rest of my life incarcerated. So like there was one lady who wanted to kill her children because they were interfering with her relationship with her boyfriend. And then she just put her children in her car and took the handbrake off the car, or the foot brake. They don't use handbrakes anymore, I think, in most cases. And let the car gradually go down into a lake. And she saw her children drown inside the car. Amazing. Because of that lust. Exactly like that verse I quote in the beginning. Abritam Gyanam Etena Gyaninam Nishavayana Kama Rupena Kuntiya Dushprena Lena Cha. This one's intelligence is covered by its eternal form enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and burns like fire. So one has to be very, very careful to control Vacha Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Yuva Vegam, Udara Pashta Vegam, tongue, belly, genitals, mind, anger, and words. Because even though you know you're going to suffer, you'll do it. And it's like when people are attached to drinking, intoxication, other things they know they're harming their bodies, still they do it. They just can't restrain. I shall act in such a way as to relieve him of his false prestige. I shall give protection to my pure devotees in Vrindavan, who are at present completely dependent on my mercy, and whom I have taken completely under my protection. I must save them by my mystic power. Thinking in this way, Lord Krishna immediately picked up Govardhan Hill with one hand, exactly as a child picks up a mushroom from the ground. Thus he exhibited his transcendental pastime of lifting Govardhan Hill. Lord Krishna then addressed his devotees, "My dear brothers, my dear father, my dear inhabitants of Vrindavan, you can now safely enter under the umbrella of Govardhan Hill, which I have just lifted. Do not be afraid of the hill and think that it will fall from my hands. You have been too much afflicted from the heavy rain and strong wind. Therefore I have lifted this hill, which will protect you exactly like a huge umbrella. I think this is a proper arrangement to relieve you of your immediate distress. Be happy along with your animals underneath this great umbrella, being assured by Lord Krishna. All the inhabitants of Vrindavan entered beneath the great hill, along with their property and animals, and they all appeared to be safe." The inhabitants of Vrindavan and their animals remained there for 1 week without being disturbed by hunger, thirst, or any other discomforts. They were simply astonished to see how Krishna was holding up the mountain with the little finger of his left hand. Seeing the extraordinary mystic power of Krishna, Indra, the king of heaven, was thunderstruck, that's an interesting word, and baffled in his determination. He immediately called for all the clouds and asked them to desist. When the sky became completely clear of all clouds, and there was sunrise again, the strong wind stopped. At that time, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known now as the lifter of Govardhan Hill, said, "My dear coward men, now you can leave and take your wives, children, cows, and valuables, because everything is ended. The inundation has gone down along with the swelling waters of the river." Now, in different literatures, like the Ananda Vrindavan Champu by Kavi Karnapur, it's described that actually Krishna created under Govardhan Hill valleys and gardens and even little rivers under there. A beautiful scenario under Govardhan Hill during that week. That's one description. Other things are described that, like when Krishna was holding up Govardhan Hill, the coward boys, they wanted to help. Krishna and Nanda Maharaj wanted to help. And then another description is that Krishna, while he was looking at Radharani, part of her body, he was caught by Balaram, and then he got nervous and he started to shake a little bit, and they thought, oh, Krishna's not able to hold Govardhan Hill. Govardhan Hill is shaking. So many different pastimes occurred during that week's time. The devotees can read Kavi Karnapur's Ananda Vrindavan Champu or listen to my narrations of the Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Those narrations are available on ISKCONDesiretree.com. And also there's an app which has all the narrations of the Ananda Vrindavan Champu. All the men loaded their valuables on carts and slowly left with their cows and other paraphernalia. After they had cleared out everything, Lord Krishna very slowly replaced Govardhan Hill in exactly the same position it had been in before. When everything was done, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan approached Krishna with feelings of love and embraced him with great ecstasy. The gopis, being naturally very affectionate to Krishna, began to offer him yogurt mixed with their tears, and they poured incessant blessings upon him. Mother Yashoda, Mother Rohini, Nanda and Balaram, who was the strongest of the strong, embraced Krishna one after the other, from spontaneous feelings of affection, blessed him over and over again. In the heavens, different demigods from different planetary systems such as Siddhaloka, Gandharvaloka, and Charanaloka also began to show their complete satisfaction. They poured showers of flowers on the surface of the earth and sounded different conch shells. There was beating of drums, and being inspired by godly feelings, residents of Gandharvaloka began to play on their tamboras to please the Lord. After this incident, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, surrounded by his dear friends and the animals, returned to his home. As usual, the gopis began to chant the glorious pastimes of Lord Krishna with great feeling, for they were chanting from the heart. Okay, we finished chapter 25 today. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to the 25th chapter of Krishna, devastating rainfall in Vrindavana. So 26 is the next chapter. Wonderful Krishna. Wow. Without understanding the intricacies of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and without knowing his uncommon spiritual opulences, the innocent coward boys and men of Vrindavan began to discuss his wonderful activities, which surpassed the activities of all men. One of them said, "My dear friends, considering his wonderful activities, how is it possible that such an uncommon boy would come and live with us in Vrindavan? It is really not possible. Just imagine. He is now only 7 years old. How is it possible for him to lift Govardhan Hill in one hand and hold it up just as the king of elephants holds a lotus flower? To lift a lotus flower is a most insignificant thing for an elephant, and similarly, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill without exertion. When he was simply a small boy and could not even see properly, he killed the great demon Putana. While sucking her breast, he also sucked out her life air. Krishna killed the Putana demon exactly as eternal time kills a living creature in due course. When he was only 3 months old, he was sleeping underneath a hand-driven cart. Being hungry for his mother's breast, he began to cry and throw his legs upwards, and from the kicking of his small feet, the cart immediately broke apart and fell to pieces. When he was only 1 year old, he was carried away by the Trinav, or the demon disguised as a whirlwind, and although he was taken very high in the sky, he simply hung on the neck of the demon and forced him to fall from the sky and immediately die. Once his mother, being disturbed by his stealing butter, tied him to a wooden mortar, and the child put it toward a pair of trees known as Yamal Arjuna, and caused them to fall. Once, when he was engaged in tending the calves in the forest along with his elder brother Balaram, a demon named bkgoswami, that's like the crane or duck demon, appeared, and Krishna at once bifurcated the demon's beak, that means split it. When the demon known as Vatsasura entered among the calves and tended by Krishna with a desire to kill him, he immediately detected the demon, killed him, and threw him into a tree. When Krishna, along with his brother Balaram, entered the Talavana forest, the demon known as Dinakasura, in the shape of an ass, attacked them, and was immediately killed by Balaram, who caught his hind legs and threw him into a palm tree. Although the Dinakasura demon was assisted by his cohorts, also in the shape of asses, all were killed, and the Talavana forest was then open for the use of the animals and inhabitants of Vrindavana. When Palamasura entered amongst Krishna's coward boyfriends, Krishna caused him to be killed by Balaram. Thereafter, Krishna saved his friends and cows from a severe forest fire, and he chastised the Kaliya serpent in the lake of the Yamuna River and forced him to leave the vicinity of the Yamuna. He thereby made the water of the Yamuna poisonless. Another one of the friends of Nanda Maharaj said, "My dear Nanda, we do not know why we are so attracted by your son Krishna. We want to forget him, but this is impossible. Why are we so naturally affectionate toward him? Just imagine how wonderful it is. On one hand, he is only a boy of 7 years, and on the other hand, there's a huge hill like Govardhan Hill, and he lifted it so easily. Oh, Nanda Maharaj, we are now in great doubt. Your son Krishna must be one of the demigods. He is not an ordinary boy. Maybe he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. On hearing the praises of the cowherd men in Vrindavan, King Nanda said, "My dear friends, in reply to you, I can simply present the statement of Gargamuni so that your doubts may be cleared. When he came to perform the name-giving ceremony, he said that this boy descends in different periods of time in different colors, and that this time he has appeared in Vrindavan in a blackish color known as Krishna. Previously he had a white color, then a red color, then a yellow color. He also said that this boy was once the son of Vasudeva, and everyone who knows of his previous birth calls him Vasudeva. Actually, he said that my son has many varieties of names according to his different qualities and activities. Gargacharya assured me that this boy would be all auspicious for my family and that he would be able to give transcendental blissful pleasure to all the cowherd men and cows in Vrindavan. Even though we would be put into various kinds of difficulties by the grace of this boy, we would be very easily freed from them. He also said that formerly this boy saved the world from an unregulated condition, and he saved all honest men from the hands of dishonest thieves. He also said that any fortunate man who becomes attracted to this boy Krishna is never vanquished or defeated by his enemy. On the whole, he's exactly like Lord Vishnu, who always takes the side of the demigods, who are consequently never defeated by the demons. Gargacharya thus concluded that my child would grow to be exactly like Vishnu in transcendental beauty, qualification, activities, influence, and opulence, and so we should not be very astonished by his wonderful activities. After telling me this, Gargacharya returned home, and since then we have been continually seeing the wonderful activities of this child. According to the version of Gargacharya, I consider that he must be Narayan himself, or maybe a plenary portion of Narayan. When all the cowherd men had very attentively heard the statements of Gargacharya through Nanda Maharaj, they better appreciated the wonderful activities of Krishna and became very jubilant and satisfied. They began to praise Nanda Maharaj because by consulting him, their doubts about Krishna were cleared. They said, "Let Krishna, who is so kind, beautiful, and merciful, protect us." When angry Indra sent torrents of rain accompanied by showers of ice blocks and high wind, Krishna immediately took compassion upon us and saved us and our families, cows, and valuable possessions by picking up Govardhan Hill, just as a child picks up a mushroom. He saved us so wonderfully. May he continue to glance mercifully over us and our cows. May we live peacefully under the protection of wonderful Krishna. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 26th chapter of Krishna, wonderful Krishna. So we did the end of 24th, the whole 25th, and the 26th today. That's pretty good. Okay, so just on time, and tomorrow hopefully we'll be able to read the prayers by Indra, the king of heaven. Let's stop sharing the screen, and then we can allow you to unmute yourselves to ask questions, or if you like, you can ask a question in the chat window, or if you like, you can raise your hand. So does anyone have any questions about anything we read or anything we said today? Madhava, you have a question?
Yeah, Dandot Gurudev, Dandot Pranam. It's not what we read, but I have a question.
Okay.
Regarding, I've been reading, it was in 3rd canto Bhagavatam, chapter 9. It talks about that prayers of Lord Brahman to Krishna, and there is description that his activities in some text, like it was imitation, but as I understand, I got confused. Imitation, I understand Krishna's name, form, guna, leela, everything is absolute. So it means not different from Krishna. So how it is the word imitation is used is very confusing to me.
Well, can you read that verse that you're talking about?
Yeah, let me. So,
I have all the verses memorized, so.
yeah, it's a verse. And it says actually the verse number is 15. It
Yeah.
says, translation says, let me take shelter of the lotus feet of him whose incarnations, qualities, and activities are mysteriously imitations of worldly affairs. One who invokes his transcendental names, if even unconsciously at the time he quits this life, is certainly washed immediately of the sins of many, many births and attains him without fail. So there is a, in the purport, it talks about the imitation. Like Prabhupada gives an example that like a drama actor on the stage, he's not that person. He copies that someone's activity. But I still am confused because Krishna's name is same as Krishna. This is
Yeah,
not
so
drama played by
what
Krishna.
Prabhupada is, what's referred to in that verse, as far as imitations, is that Krishna makes believe he imitates an ordinary person when he comes down to the earth planet. Like Krishna's many times, Krishna imitates. It's not that it's still absolute, but Krishna acts as an ordinary person. So he's imitating a little coward boy, which and therefore people get confused. But it's not that that doesn't negate the fact that Krishna's name, quality, pastimes, and everything is absolute or eternal. They're Nitya Lila. But at the same time, Krishna as a dramatist, because it's always a drama. Krishna's always putting on a drama. He doesn't really have to do anything. Natasya Karyam Karanam Chavidyate. See, everything is done by Krishna's will and Krishna's energies, sorry. And Krishna himself doesn't really have to extend himself to do anything. So whatever he does is like a dramatic performance. But those dramatic performances, sometimes they're an imitation. I mean, for example, like Krishna appears as a tortoise or a fish or 8,400,000 species of life. Prabhupada said Krishna appears in every single species of life. So Krishna's imitating those species of life. At the same time, it's transcendental. It's his original transcendental body, where Krishna appears like that. So both those things are there. So Krishna's imitated. He's imitated an ordinary human being. He's imitated an ordinary coward boy, although he's not. Krishna appears as an ordinary person, although he's not. That's an imitation. But, just to be precise, we are all imitating Krishna. But, it's like a copy. It's not that Krishna looks at us and says, hey, I'd like to imitate him. That's really not the point. Does that make sense?
So in that sense, actually, we copy Krishna's activity, try to be Krishna. I'm Ishwar, everybody is Ishwar. We try to imitate Krishna. It's not that Krishna will imitate us, the ordinary living entity.
Krishna doesn't imitate us, but he plays the part of an ordinary person or a lion or a fish or like that. He plays a part as if it was a real fish, or he was a fish, or he is a fish, or he is a tortoise, like that. So he plays the part. Krishna's a dramatic actor. And his original form is Krishna in the spiritual world. Loka evanibhashati akilatma bhuta. Hope that explains that. I mean, it's a good question. All right. Thank you for the question. Here's a question in the chat window. There's some commentary on the Govardhan. Krishna holds the Govardhan hill. The hill was not completely rested. Touch on Krishna's fingers. Mother Yashoda, Govardhan hill. That will be destroyed if it causes trouble to Krishna something like this. What? Actually, Prabhupada said Krishna did touch Govardhan Hill. I don't know. Sometimes there's these different commentaries. I never read that commentary. Never read that commentary. I mean, I don't know where that commentary comes from, so I can't comment on it. Comment on the commentary. But I can certainly say that there's many different stories that I've heard that don't come from Shastra, that don't come from the Acharyas, and they may not really be bona fide. So I'm not saying this story or commentary, but Prabhupada said Krishna touched Govardhan Hill. I mean, Govardhan Hill is not different from Krishna. A mother who showed a curse Govardhan Hill would be destroyed if it would cause trouble to Krishna. I never heard anything like that, because previously, when the residents of Vrindavan worshipped Govardhan Hill manifested itself as a gigantic form of Krishna. So it doesn't make sense. Okay. So here's a question. Okay. Oh,
Hare
Rishikesh.
Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev. My obeisance, Gurudev. Nice to hear your voice after a long time.
Nice to be speaking after a few weeks.
Gurudev, I just have a quick clarification. Uh, there are two pastimes Lord Brahma was stealing the cow, I mean the calves and cows. And
Yeah.
of course, the one which we are just discussing, Indra. But I heard from some other devotee that the offense, apparently the offense created by Brahma was bigger because he separated his devotees from him. Whereas Indra's pastime, although appeared very offensive, actually it helped Krishna and his devotees to be together in one place. So in that case, Krishna indirectly was pleased by that. Is that correct? I mean,
I never heard that. That's uh, one of the other commentaries that I never heard.
okay.
I mean, Lord Brahma pleased Krishna by stealing the calves and cows because as I explained before when we read that chapter, all the cowherd boys who were actually Krishna at that particular point married the gopis.
Hmm.
Remember I talked about that?
Yep, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Krishna became all the cowherd boys, and that was the year they had the official marriage to the gopis.
Uh-huh.
So that's he helped Krishna in that particular way. So and Lord Indra, I mean, I think they both had to repent. And some people say because Lord Brahma stole the uh, calves and the cowherd boys, he had to take birth as in a Shudra family as Haridas Thakur. Sometimes you
Uh-huh.
hear, although I never heard Prabhupada tell that story like that, but I know that Haridas Thakur is considered to be an incarnation of Prahlad Maharaj and Lord Brahma. So could be true, but
Okay.
anyway, interesting question.
Thank you,
Okay,
Gurudev.
all right, thank you. I
Yep.
mean, they were both bad offenses, but they were both part of Krishna's pastimes too. I mean, if Lord Brahma hadn't done that, then we wouldn't have that story. And if Krishna hadn't done that, Lord Indra hadn't done what he did, we wouldn't have that story either.
Yeah, in fact, there are two names given to Krishna during this Indra's pastimes. One is Giridhari, and second is Govinda. Okay,
Yeah, Govinda and
interesting.
Giridhari. Right, Krishna got two names. Indra gave him the name Govinda, and the coward men and residents of Vrindavan gave him the name Giridhari. That's true.
Okay.
Giridhari and Govinda, Lord of the cows and the senses, actually. And in the Bhagavad Gita later on, Arjuna uses this word Govinda, uh, pleaser of the senses, to try to convince Krishna to allow him not to fight. So, okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments or issues? If not, I think we can end for the day, and hopefully we'll see everybody tomorrow. We'll continue the next chapter. We've covered quite a bit of the Krishna book so far. Thank you very much. All glories to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, by whose mercy we are able to enter into the most intimate pastime